The United States is facing a national security crisis. It is not a conventional war with tanks and troops. It is a war waged on our streets, in our homes, and against our own citizens. This is the war against fentanyl, a synthetic opioid trafficked by Mexican cartels that is killing Americans at an alarming rate. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates that over 100,000 Americans died from drug overdoses in 2021, with fentanyl being the primary driver. This deadly substance has infiltrated our communities, devastating families and overwhelming our healthcare system. The cartels, operating with brutal efficiency, have turned fentanyl into a highly profitable enterprise. They manufacture and traffic this poison with little regard for human life. Their greed knows no bounds, and their reach extends far beyond the US-Mexico border. This crisis demands a response, and some policymakers are advocating for a controversial solution: military intervention in Mexico. Deploying US military forces within the borders of a sovereign nation like Mexico is a complex and fraught endeavor. It requires navigating a labyrinth of legal and political obstacles. The US Constitution grants Congress, not the President, the power to declare war. While the President can authorize limited military action, a sustained campaign against the cartels would necessitate congressional approval. Such approval is far from guaranteed. Opponents argue that military intervention would be a costly and ineffective overreach, potentially escalating violence and destabilizing the region. They also point to Mexico's sovereignty, emphasizing the need for their consent and cooperation. Unilateral US action risks damaging diplomatic relations and undermining Mexican sovereignty. Should the US decide to pursue military action, it must carefully consider the available strategies and their potential consequences. Drone strikes, similar to those used in the Middle East, offer a way to eliminate high-value targets with minimal risk to US personnel. However, their effectiveness against a decentralized network like the cartels is debatable. Special forces, with their expertise in counterterrorism and counterinsurgency, could play a role in training and advising Mexican security forces. Larger-scale conventional deployments, however, are unlikely given the political sensitivities and the risk of escalating the conflict. Intelligence gathering and sharing would be crucial to any successful operation. The US would need to enhance its surveillance capabilities within Mexico to track cartel movements, disrupt their operations, and target their leadership. The fight against fentanyl is a war without easy answers. Military intervention, while potentially tempting, is a blunt instrument fraught with risks and unintended consequences. Cartels are resilient and adaptable, often thriving in environments of lawlessness and instability. They are masters of asymmetric warfare, capable of responding to military pressure with brutal reprisals against civilians and infrastructure. Furthermore, the logistical challenges of sustaining a military campaign in Mexico are significant. The US would need to establish secure supply lines, maintain operational security, and navigate difficult terrain. The potential for mission creep, with the US military becoming bogged down in an open-ended conflict, is a real concern.